Oh, yes, lovers sing out sweet and low. With spoons held high, we bid our brother cheerio. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Faith and Fandom Feedback Friday. Uh, Coming to you with some news, some recaps, and other events of the past week. Hope you're doing great. Um, one second. Would you mind shutting that door? Um, Sorry. Uh, it's my professional studio uh setting. But yeah, welcome to Faith and Fandom Feedback Friday. Uh, Getting started. Good evening, Tristan Birch. Right on it, man. Um, thank you for being so cool, and thank you for being so encouraging, everybody in general. But yeah, jumping right in it, trying to be on time-ish today because I've got the season finale of Faith and Fandom for Love Thy Nerd. I'm recording right after this, and got a very I've got a different one than I planned for the finale, but it's gonna be a cool one. And yeah, so I'm kind of interested. It's gonna be heavy too, so we'll see how that goes. Um, but we got lots of news, lots of stuff to talk about. So gonna jump right in it. But I hope you had a good week. First off, if you've been familiar with the Netflix uh phenomenon, air quotes, of baby reindeer, um, which is a, again, air quotes, true story of a comedian slash bartender uh harassed by a stalker, is the safe way to put it. It also goes into a lot of bigger, heavier issues and things in the series. Um the real life woman who is Martha is based on, the like original stalker, appeared on Piers Morgan last week, which is a British talk show, if you're unfamiliar, and told her side of the story, and says, how much of it is fictionalized, and that she plans to sue Netflix over this obscene work of fiction and gross depiction of her life. So we'll see how that plays out, but she's not happy about it. But what I will say is this: I don't know that many people watched that interview and came off like believing cool. But that's one of the reasons I was really hesitant to even try Baby Reindeers, because I knew it was based on somebody's real life, and I know that can't be encouraging or flattering to have a Netflix depiction of your life as a crazy stalker. So, um, I was hesitant to watch it for those reasons, but then I just kept hearing and learning some things about it, and it does delve much bigger than just dealing with a stalker, but like brilliantly written. But like in terms of execution and stuff, there's a lot going on with it. So Baby Reindeer, it's on Netflix. The selling point for me, the thing that pushed me over the edge on watching it, is that Stephen King said it was the best thing he's ever watched. Um, and I know that's like not like the biggest ticket of like why that's important, but something about Stephen King saying this stalker story is the best thing he's watched made me say, okay, I'm going to try this. And I absolutely watched it all in one sitting. So it is rough. It does deal with assault, not just the Martha stuff. It deals with assault and a lot of other things. Um, so be warned. But yeah, it's real person and real stuff that happened, and so it's an interesting story. But she did out herself. Like the internet figured out who she was, but she admitted herself, and she went on. And more warm and fuzzy, encouraging news. Brandon Lake and John Foreman just finished up a tour together. John Foreman, the lead singer of Switchfoot. Brandon Lake, a kind of gangster worship leader slash Christian musician, finished up a tour together, and like John Foreman, uh, at the end of the tour, brought Brandon Lake a framed photo that John Foreman's daughter took of them together, and they had a really sweet moment. You can check it out on their reels, respectively. But like Brandon, like they just end up like crying and hugging and having a beautiful moment backstage, because Brandon Lake just looks at John Foreman and says, "You just look so much like Jesus to me." Like the way you act, the way you love people, etc. It's a gorgeous moment. I watched it once and it made me teary. But it also made me really love and respect these guys a little bit more. And I'm gonna get there eventually, but let me just go ahead and remind you that John Foreman has a album dropping on May 31st, in Bloom. There are three singles currently out. And this is his folky, deep, emotional stuff. Like one of the line, but the track that's hit me so far out of the singles is a track called Eulogy. So if you are a fan of don't forget if you're a fan of anything, just go watch Eulogy or listen to Eulogy, read the lyrics. It's heavy and powerful. Um, and Eminem's daughter Haley got crowned as homecoming queen in an empty classroom. Or Eminem's daughter Haley got crowned queen. Eminem watched from an empty classroom, so he didn't want to take attention away from her. That's not like new news, but like I just thought it was sweet, and it's a story that came back up. But I just thought it was cool because there's a lot more Eminem stories coming up with his new album about to drop. Um, if you weren't aware, wrestler Sami Zayn um also has a stand-up career and is attempting to be a stand-up comedian. And on uh Netflix is a joke comedy tour event. Sami Zayn did a stand-up set and Johnny Knoxville crashed the set lovingly, intentionally. Um, if you are aware, and this was before my time returning to the wrestling world, Johnny Knoxville and Sami Zayn actually had a whole storyline and a big PLE match, which I went back and watched on YouTube. But it's just interesting to watch one of the wrestlers with the most heart doing that. And by the way, Tristan, if y'all that are listening, I'm sorry you don't see what I'm saying. This is the Deku statue. Um, I sat him on top of the Iroh one. So it came this week. If you're familiar with literature or classic storytelling, Beowulf and Grendel are two of the biggest characters of adventure literature and like just gorgeous writing and things like that. And there is a live action monster movie from the Jim Hemp. Cool, awesome. Um, Tristan has the same one. There's a live action Grendel movie coming from Jim Henson's company. And Bryan Cranston, Dave Bautista, and Jeff Bridges are going to be in it. I'm assuming one of them is Beowulf, and one of like my money is on Dave Bautista as Grendel, but either way, I love good classic literature. I love good classic literature interpretations, and so the Jim Henson Company is partnering with those guys and some other people to bring together um a Grendel movie. Beowulf was one of my favorite stories in school and literature, so I'm pretty pumped to see what they do with this. Um, if you are a fan of the show Shogun, it's been a week for you because at the beginning of last week, there was no season two planned or scripted or happening. Then Toranaga star the guy Hiroyuki Sanada, who plays uh T- Toranaga. He also plays like Scorpion in the new Mortal Kombat series. He's also in Bullet Train. He's also in like one of the Godzilla. He's in everything. Um, but Hiroyuki Sanada signed a deal to move forward, and in that time of signing a deal, just this week they went from signing a deal with a potential script to now they are officially making season two and season three. The problem with the show initially was that it was based on a book and they did the whole book in one sitting, and so it's over. Um, so I guess they came up with a story that was good enough for Toranaga actor Hiroyuki Sanada to sign on for, and there is going to be a season two and season three of Shogun. Now, obviously, it's going to be a couple years before we get it because they just signed the deal for it, and there's a long way to go in that process. But Shogun, for what it was, turned out to be a really great series. So there you go. Um, on some more music news, David Crowder has a new album dropping on May 31st. So on May 31st, you get John Foreman's new album and you get David Crowder's new album. So looking forward to that. John or David Crowder's new album is called The Exile. Um, or sorry, yeah, it's called The Exile. He's also got, like John Foreman, he's got three new singles out. Even Exile and Dash, like the dash between when you're born and when you die. And there's he's just got three songs out. If you enjoy Crowder, it's good Crowder. Um, I'm not going to say it's the most revolutionary Crowder I've heard in three songs, but it's good Crowder. So you should check that out. Um, Jordan Peele, uh, of Key and Peele, acclaimed comedic actor slash, for whatever reason, modern horror storyteller of our new generation, has announced and started showing some information about his next horror movie. Um, so we went from Get Out, which I'm not going to tell you the plot of Get Out if you don't know. Then we went to Us. Now we've gone to Nope. And so Get Out dealt with racial culture, we'll just say that. Um, Us dealt with self-imagery and trauma, we'll say that. Uh, Nope dealt with cultural divides and aliens. And Him is a psychological horror film set in the world of football. A psychological horror film set in the world of football, and it's called Him. So I don't know what else to tell you about that. Here's the deal: it's a Jordan Peele movie. I'm probably going to be in there day one, but let you know that's coming. It was a big Disney week as they were announcing a lot of upcoming things. One of my favorite things of the past week is that on Marvel's Instagram and across some of their social platforms, um, the name for Agatha's TV show went from that the upcoming Agatha TV show went from Agatha and the Coven of Chaos to briefly on social media, it changed to The Lying Witch with the Great Wardrobe. I love a good Narnia reference. And so just for like an hour, it changed to The Lying Witch with the Great Wardrobe and then got deleted. And it was intentional marketing and just to make sure everybody was paying attention and everything like that. And then they a little bit later finally released the trailer this week with the like actually including the Lion Witch and the Great Wardrobe, um, to showing that all the title changes and everything else, and that the show is officially called, as we've been told since the beginning, it was Agatha all along, which is going to be a show dropping later this year, with Aubrey Plaza as well. So we get a sequel series to WandaVision with Agatha Harkness. So that is coming. Mark Strong, who is a fantastic actor. You might know him from Kingsman. You might know him from a million things. He was Sinestro briefly in Green Lantern. He's he's all over the place. And Mark Strong's a great actor. He's officially joining the Penguin TV series on HBO Max, um, alongside Colin Farrell. Listen, Colin Farrell is so good as Penguin, and throwing Mark Strong into the mix, I can't wait. I think it's going to be great with that. So, the Penguin series may be one of the TV experiences I'm most excited for. I love a good gangster story, and Mark Strong is going to add great flavor to it. Chris Pratt has officially just made a statement that he is still planning to remain around Marvel as Star-Lord if they use him, but he is also going to be joining the DC universe. Brent Bergen says, "Did you know that the Darkhold book originally appeared in Agents of Shield?" Plug for Agents of Shield. And I know Agents of Shield doesn't get as much love as we should. And to be honest, I didn't finish Agents of Shield, not out of like disappointment or anything. I just didn't have TV like that. Um, uh, but and I haven't binged it since then. Um, but I did watch the first couple seasons of Agents of Shield, and I do believe it deserves some credit. Listen, I love Coulson, and for that reason alone, I would hope, you know, Agents of Shield gets a little bit more love. But Chris Pratt does say that he is planning to be in the DC universe and the Marvel universe. My money personally, and you can go back and rewind um this moment in years to come when this is announced. My money is that Chris Pratt is going to be Booster Gold because I feel like that'll play really well into the self-depreciating nature of Booster Gold. People already like to be annoyed by Chris Pratt at this point in time, and making Chris Pratt Booster Gold would in fact be gold. So May 17th, 2024, right here, I'm telling you in my a future opinion, Chris Pratt's gonna be Booster Gold. Just throwing that at you. Throwing that at you. Um, Marty from Social Club. Social Club is a Christian hip hop organization group, and Marty is one of the one half. Um, and Tristan says it would suit his style, and I think it would. Especially if they give him the full like bleach blonde vibe, make him shave his beard. I mean, come on, dude. He'll be so deplorably unlikable that it would think. I feel like if this movie was made 20 years ago, Nathan Fillion would have been a great Booster Gold. Um, but at this point, I feel like it would be Chris Pratt. Um, but Marty from Social Club is releasing an album on June 21st called Flop Era, the album. Uh Marty has been dropping singles. If you're part of Marty's Instagram group, he's been dropping singles to just his specific Instagram group, not his Instagram profile or story, but he has a group just for people who actually follow his music a little more deeply. And he's been dropping singles there. But Flop Era, the album, is going to drop on June 21st. He's got some more singles. And way more exciting than, or I don't know if it's way more exciting. It is more exciting. You can leave that open when you're done there. Um, Way more exciting than that to me is the fact that they have officially announced this week that a third Downton Abbey movie is coming. They started filming it this week. Yeah. Um, I love some Downton Abbey as they stated in gosh, what show is it? There's some other show that I really enjoy watching. Oh, it was maybe it was The Office. They actually say Downton is life. Oh, huh? No, it's totally you haven't watched the second movie. You need to do that. Is it Ted? Oh, you're right. Maybe it is Ted Lasso. Either way, somebody says Downton is life. Um, all that being said, my daughter was getting ready for school. But they're officially making a Downton Abbey third movie. And I love Downton Abbey. Mr. Bates is like the gangster of gangsters. I love the heart. I love the family. And I'm really excited that there's a third film coming. And who like literally, I'm surprised they're still making movies, but I'm here for it. Agatha All Along will also premiere on September 18th, BT Dubs. They want to get the whole show in by Halloween, I'm assuming. Um, that's gonna be a thing. Daredevil Born Again also got a new logo and will drop in March 2025. So we are less than 1 year away from Daredevil Born Again. Everybody rejoice. Um, and stuff that I didn't have on my 2024 bingo card. Um, Nicolas Cage is making a show for Prime Video, Amazon series. Wait for it. Um, Nicolas Cage is making a live action Spider-Man noir series. Spider-Man noir from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Nicolas Cage is officially going to be Spider-Man noir in live action, and it's going to get its own Amazon TV series. Spider-Man noir was a runaway hit as a character from Amazon from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Uh, Born Again say it is going to be in Disney Plus. Yes, it is not theatrical. It is going to be nine episodes, to my understanding, straight to Disney Plus. With that, yeah. And from everything I've seen, Foggy, Punisher, Vanessa, Kingpin, Karen are all back in it. Um, Joanna Cook says she kind of like it. Um, but yeah, we're gonna get Nicolas Cage in a live action Spider Noir film. Um, Nicolas Cage has the potential to do so many things, and I never know what's gonna happen. But think about the amount of heroes this dude's played. He's played Superman in the Teen Titans animated. He did the brief almost Superman movie. And then they CGI'd him into the Flash. He was Big Daddy in KA. He's got a pretty he was Ghost Rider. He's got a pretty chunky theatrical career in superheroes. But now we're gonna get to see him literally be in black and white and be Spider-Man Noir. So that's coming to Prime Video. Yeah, Ghost Rider. Um, oh, Ghost Rider. But yeah, Nicolas Cage is going to be another iteration of Spider-Man. If you followed also in Prime Video news, um, there was a lot of drama in the release of the movie Roadhouse and the fact that they worked on it, they made it, then Amazon refused to release it in theaters. Um, and they just put it directly to streaming, which was not the plan. It was supposed to have a big theatrical release and all that jazz. It ended up doing really well. 80 million viewers to date. And so guess what? Jake Gyllenhaal is returning for a Roadhouse sequel. The reboot of the 80s action film that wasn't good enough, air quotes, to go to theaters is now getting a sequel film. So believe in yourself because there's a possibility. Um, yeah, that's gonna happen. And in other Prime Video news, which just seems to be a whole thing, apparently they're working really hard. Uh, there is going to be a separate show of Jeopardy called Pop Culture Jeopardy, which is going to appear directly on Amazon Prime. So it's literally, I'm honestly pretty pumped about this. This is going to be the Jeopardy that I watch and feel like a genius. But Pop Culture Jeopardy is a TV series that will be coming to Amazon Prime, so that's fun. Um, as I previously mentioned, Eminem and leading up to his album, The Death of Slim Shady, on May 14th, uh, in the Detroit Free Press, which is his local newspaper, um, he published an obituary for Slim Shady, like a real obituary that this person has died for Slim Shady was published in his local newspaper on May 14th. So if you are in the area and can get your hands on a Detroit Free Press for May 14th, it's going to be a piece of music history. But yeah, Eminem ramping up for that album. Uh, speaking of uh Sonata, the gentleman who plays in Shogun, Mortal Kombat 2 is going to release on October 24th, 2025. So we're about a year and a half away from that. Um, if you are familiar with Phoebe Waller-Bridge, which I hopefully you're not familiar with her just from Indiana Jones, because apparently that was a bad life choice. Phoebe Waller-Bridge is the actress and writer for the acclaimed award-winning series and inappropriate series for young viewers and sensitive viewers. Just let me throw that out there, Fleabag. Um, she was an acclaimed writer and actor for that. She was the droid in the Solo movie with Donald Glover. Um, uh, she's in the movie If, by the way, which comes out today in theaters. Um, she is writing and producing a Tomb Raider series once again for Prime Video. Prime Video, y'all, is like doubling down, go swinging for the fences on everything. But they are going to producing a live action Tomb Raider series. I don't know where that puts it in hopes for future Tomb Raider movies because we never really got a sequel to the 2016 Tomb Raider movie. Um, but Netflix or Amazon Prime is going to be doing this. And also, and a really confusing thing, and I hope it's inaccurate, the news that I've seen, Mr. and Mrs. Season 2 is coming, but without Donald Glover or his co-star. Mr. and Mrs. Smith was a fantastic show in terms of writing and producing, and it has a chef's kiss moment, like a perfect episode moment for me in the season finale of season one. Um, which, by the way, I still fully intend to start producing the Chef's Kids podcast of where I bring somebody on just to talk about something they think is perfect or near perfect. Like like your favorite episode of something, your favorite book of something, your favorite meal, your favorite experience. Um like chef's kiss moments. Like to me the episode where uh Saul and Mike carry the bag of money through the desert in Better Call Saul is a chef's kiss episode. Chuck versus the Push Mix chef's kiss episode. The finale of Mr. and Mrs. Smith is the chef's kiss episode for me. Um, so I'm gonna do that. That's coming. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. But Donald Glover wrote and directed that series, so I'm just confused, confirmed. Brian Lee O'Malley, who is the creator and illustrator of Scott Pilgrim, the guy who made the graphic novels, is into the mainstream comic book world with a cover for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He is doing variant covers for that, and they are going to be hard to get and expensive. But if you've ever wanted to see the Ninja Turtles drawn like Scott Pilgrim, that's out there. You can check out the art. It features April in danger in a sewer with the turtles, all in their classic red bandanas from the original story, fighting Mousers in the sewer. And it's just neat to see Scott Pilgrim art with Ninja Turtles. So check that out. Brian Lee O'Malley Ninja Turtle variant covers. The next Assassin's Creed video game is called Assassin's Creed Shadows. And guess what? It gives us feudal Japan. So the next Assassin's Creed, remember the Nick Cage turtles? Uh, uh, Assassin's Creed is going to let you be a shinobu or yeah, a shinobi assassin during fighting samurai during the turbulent feudal Japan. So personally, um my favorite Assassin's Creed so far is Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which was barely an Assassin's Creed game. It was more of a live action Zelda game. Um, but I am all for this. This is the first Assassin's Creed I've been excited about in a while. It is going to drop November 15th, 2024. So if you're interested in Assassin's Creed or ninjas or assassins or swordplay, November 14th, get ready for some Assassin's Creed Shadow. Um, in a in a weird, and I get it, but I don't get it, moment for pop culture. Tinkerbell is being cut from meet and greets and appearances in Disney parks because she has been labeled a problematic character. And the full text of what I saw says that her unrealistic body image, um, as well as her dependency on the approval or attention of Peter Pan, um, is no longer representative of inclusive and focused values. And they're currently redesigning Tinkerbell for modern appearances, modern audiences. So Tinkerbell won't be at Disney parks for a while because Tinkerbell is going to get a updated character design and story. Um, um, Tinker literally she sets off the magic that starts the castle. It's okay. Um, listen, if Disney was gonna fix, I don't want to be super negative. You know me, it's not my jam. But if Disney was gonna fix one thing with Disney, changing Tinkerbell would not be my recommendation. Um, I digress. Marvel Studios is officially splitting into a trifecta of production. Um, Marvel Studios has three divisions now. There's Marvel Studios, which we know is the MCU. They're their own thing from now on. Marvel Animation is its own studio from now on with What If, X-Men 97. That's their own thing. Then Marvel Television, which is what's going to give us Daredevil Born Again and, the next Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or whatever. It's going to be its own division. So they're going to have three separate divisions that will work potentially independently to produce quality over quantity, and they'll be less concerned about fitting into each other's wheelhouses and more concerned about just making good content as one of their announcements moving forward. So do with what you like. Evil, the Paramount slash CBS series, um, that deals with spiritual warfare, essentially, um, has is into its final season. They're ending with season 4, and that they're on their way out. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 will officially drop in theaters December 5th, 2025. So that's a thing. If you are a fan of the John Wick universe, Donnie Yen's character, Kane from John Wick 4, is getting his own spin-off film. So we're getting the Continental experience, which we've already had that. We're getting the ballerina story, and now we're getting the Kane story, all from the John Wick universe. Um, if you would have told me an action movie with Keanu Reeves where he just goes, "My dog," and then shoots people for 4 movies was going to yield 3 spin-offs and be incredibly successful, would have never believed it. But I gotta say, it's good use of popcorn. So more spin-offs there. And a surprisingly delightful um turn of events. James and Oliver Phelps, who are known for playing Fred and George Weasley in the Harry Potter series, are officially I got goosebumps. Wow. Are officially hosting a brewing or a competition cooking show that's Harry Potter themed. So Fred and George Weasley are hosting a Harry Potter cooking competition show, and it's going to be on Food Network, and it's going to be called Harry Potter Wizards of Baking. It's going to be delightful. So if you like cooking shows and Harry Potter, you are living in the time of your life, dear friends. Uh, if you've noticed over the last lifetime, Keenan and Kel, after all that and Keenan and Kel, Keenan went on to be on Saturday Night Live and has been a staple of Saturday Night Live and has become the longest running Saturday Night Live cast member in history. He's had steady work and had a couple movies as well, his own independent show. But Keenan has worked consistently in Hollywood. Kel went on to become a pastor. Um, and so he obviously had less limelight, and he's had his own traumatic experience. This past week, Kel made his appearance on the Club Shay Shay podcast, which, if you're familiar, it's the podcast that Shannon Sharp hosts, where Cat Williams went on to like expose all of Hollywood and cause infinite memes, and then Monique went on and did the same thing. Um, Kel Mitchell was the guest on the Club Shay Shay podcast this week, and he talks about his fate and his Hollywood story and things like that. But one of the biggest things that he goes into is the fact that he experienced an exorcism, where um, during a service, he had demons cast out of him, and talks about what that looked like and the fact that he personally believes that his now ex-wife was responsible for those demons being put into his life. He claims that he was hexed, and during an hour-long prayer section, he was exorcised of multiple demons by an evangelist, um, after discovering this demonic presence in his life. So I know, as a Christian or as a believer or just somebody watching or listening to this podcast, you might be in different places when it comes to spiritual warfare and things of that nature. But what I will say, it takes a lot of confidence and fortitude to go on a major podcast that's going to be broadcast around the world and say that you were freed of demons and you experienced a possession and release of that nature. So wherever else you stand with that, I think that's bold to go and do that. And that's a big deal. So you can find the Club Shay Shay podcast on YouTube and on TikTok, a lot of it as well. So if you want to see what Kel Mitchell said in terms of that, you can go check that out. It's interesting. Uh, Also, in terms of unexpected gospel presences, the Twitch streamer Sketch had Theo Vaughn on there, and Theo Vaughn is like a headache of comedy. And he's not my brand of comedy, because I never know if he's being funny or it's madness. But the Twitch streamer Sketch used his time with Theo Vaughn to share that God moves through prayer and have a whole big testimony time with him. So that's an interesting thing to watch as well. Three Body Problem has officially been renewed by season two, or for season two by Netflix, which thank God, and only for the fact that it did not get a resolution of the story. And if I spent 8 hours of my life and it ended there and I didn't get more, I would be sad inside. So Three Body Problem is going to get another season. Um, X-Men 97 is officially Marvel's highest rated in terms of score TV show of all time. Not surprising. There's an I Know What You Did Last Summer reboot coming July 18th, 2025, because that's what we need. Um, there's an Ultraman Rising uh series coming on in June on Netflix if you're an Ultraman fan. There's an animated animated Terminator series produced by the people that made Ghost in the Shell, and that's coming August 29th on Netflix. And you're just getting a lot of good animation stuff. The History Channel is going to start having a show called Holy Marvels, which is going to focus on specific historical pieces of biblical history, um, hosted by Dennis Quaid, and is considered a nonfiction show. Appreciate that. Um, and it's going to delve into like Jesus's crown of thorns, then Noah's Ark, and things like that, and actually try and find historical uh, evidence and things of that nature. Um, in a real life Spider-Man moment, um, a woman was driving an 18-wheeler, um, and a truck hit her on the interstate on a bridge, and her truck went off the bridge and landed, but it didn't land. It literally was a Spider-Man moment of her truck was hanging over the edge of the bridge for 30 minutes. And she's just sitting in there in the front seat of the truck, suspended over the water for 30 minutes on body cam, dash cam. So this woman's whole traumatic experience is laid out there. Um, but surprisingly enough, she's fine. But watching the video of this woman stuck hanging off of a bridge for 30 minutes, it's a lot. So if that's your jam, you might want to check it out. But I thank God she's good. A man was found in a secret bunker under a sheep pen that has was kidnapped 26 years ago. A man named Omar bin Amran in Algeria was kidnapped more than 25 years ago, and since then has been held captive inside his neighbor's sheep pen, like literally walking distance from his house. He was held captive and held under the sheep pen next door to his house and was finally found. And he claims that he was forced to stay there and stay quiet because the dude used magic to keep him there. And so again, it's its own weird thing, but that totally happened. Yep. Um, so that's a thing. And then last bit of news before we bounce out of here. we'll just transition for a minute. Let's see. There is a band called Trophy Eyes. Um, yeah, I saw Adventures with Superman. Season 2 is coming, and that's pretty dope. Uh, yeah, the sheep pen thing is really wild. Um, Derek Benson says magic mushrooms. The band Trophy Eyes, the lead singer, stage dove this at a recent show without warning and broke a lady's neck and left her paralyzed. Um, like I don't even know if she was paying attention or she saw it coming, but the lead singer literally dove off stage, landed on this lady's neck, broke her neck. She is expected to make a recovery, but imagine that level of yikes. And yeah. And in medical news, Rick Slyman was the first human to try a animal to human liver transplant. He was not on the list to get a human liver. It wasn't going fast enough and he was going to die. So he took a pig's liver. Um, and he lived for 2 more months. He lived for 2 months with a pig's liver. And that's, his family was grateful they got 2 more months. And if you've seen in the news, there's a lot of Facebook clips and things of Jerry Seinfeld um doing the commencement speech at Duke. Um and while we see that as something that's been happening, what they haven't been showing is that students got up and walked out. Um that's rather like we've seen the highlight clips of Jerry Seinfeld speaking at Duke for commencement, but literally groups of students during his commencement speech got up and left. They missed their own graduations because they didn't want to hear any more Jerry Seinfeld talking. And there's videos from the stands of students literally getting up off the floor of graduation on the football field and walking out because they were offended. And didn't want to endure it anymore. And I was like, I'm gonna tell you this. I've sat through because I work in collegiate ministry and I spent 11 years listening to commencement speeches. You got to be pretty bad. And for especially be Jerry Seinfeld, you got to be pretty bad that people would literally rather choose to not graduate than to listen to you talk anymore. So, nothing he said sounded crazy to me other than apologizing for the B movie. Um, but yeah, that's pretty bonkers that he would feel people would feel the need to literally walk out of their own graduation for that. Um, and also in a weird news, Steve Buscemi is in the hospital after being just randomly sucker punched in the face. Um, Brent Bergen says he feels like there's a movie about donating a liver or kidney with Dean Cain. Yeah, I think I've seen some stuff for that too. Um, there was a flash flood in Afghanistan, and more than 100 people have been injured, and 50 people have died, sadly. Um, and also in my last news is that at Tesla's Gigafactory, it was stormed by protesters and environmental freedom fighters, as they labeled themselves, this past week in Brandenburg, Germany, because eco warriors is what they called themselves. The factory was stormed in Germany by eco warriors protesting what Tesla's doing. So that's my news. Um, So one thing I'm going to do, and I've talked about this with on my Instagram and TikTok and stuff like that. I don't have a verse I'm going to share with you guys, but while I've got you, I'm going to thank our Patreon supporters towards the end as well. And I just checked in the other person I'm doing a podcast with today is they're good to wait a minute. But I meet weekly with a friend for Bible study, and because our schedules are infrequent, we don't always just read across the board with scripture, because it's hard to remember where we've been. So what we do is when we get together, we roll dice to see what we're going to read. So I have 60 in dice and a 10. And someone on my Instagram and Facebook pointed out that this was a better way to do it than what I originally did, because there's 66 books in the Bible, and but if I only roll 66 in dice, then it's impossible for me to roll the first four books. So I roll 70 in dice and subtract 4, and that gives me the number of whatever book of the Bible that I'm going to read from. So I'm going to roll. I'm going to use my little dice tower, and you can watch me be bad at math right here. So I rolled an 8 plus a 2, that's 10. 11 is 21 plus, what are you? A 7. 21 plus 7 is 28. So the 28th book of the Bible is what we're going to read real quick. Um, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. We're going to be in Hosea, and that is 977. Doodaloo. So for, oh, I forgot to subtract 4. My bad. So subtract 4. See, got to do math. Y'all got to watch me. So 27, 26, 25, 24. Jeremiah. So that's 812. Forgot to subtract 4. Um, and Jeremiah has, good grief, Jeremiah has a lot of chapters. Jeremiah has 52 chapters. So 20, 20, 10, and then we'll coin flip for the 1 or 2. Yeah, that'll work. All right. So random Bible verses with Hector. That's exactly right. So 14, 14, so that's 28 plus 8 is 36, and plus 2, 38. So we're going to Jeremiah 38. We're going to see what we got. Oh, that's a long chapter. All right, I'm just going to read this chapter if you want to hang out with me. Real quick before I read Jeremiah 38, I'm going to thank our Patreon supporters, David Brooks, Jeff Weimer, um, Jacob Gibson, Colin Sproles, Jamie Montgomery, the Coleman family, Matthew Herman, Ron Petit, Gear Saber Cosplay, Scott Ward, Alicia Glenn, Candace Davis, Jay Shee, Jason Crutchfield, Mike Perna, Todd Turner, Jonathan Jacobs, Zach Harris, Caleb Grimm, Jeanette Skaggs, Jason Bullock, Christina Ray, Sarah Lewis, Patrick Gale, Rebecca Godlove, and Adam Davis. Thank you all so much for taking time to support Faith and Fandom and help making all that we do possible, and greatly appreciate you. I've got a con this weekend, a show the week after. I just put out a schedule for the immediate summer, so thank you for joining with us. But I'm gonna read Jeremiah 38 before we roll out. Literally rolled out. um, it says, and I know this is a nerd thing, but I can't read a Bible without a highlighter, so I'm gonna grab that. Now Shepda the son of Mattan, Gedaliah. Wow, this is a chapter. Gedaliah the son of Pashur, Jukal the son of Shemaliah, and Pashur the son of Malachi heard the words of Jeremiah was saying to all the people, "Thus says the Lord." He says, "He who stays in the city shall die by the sword, by famine, and by pestilence. But he who goes out into the Chaldeans shall live. He shall have his life as prize of war and live. Thus says the Lord, this city shall surely be given to the hand of the army of the king of Babylon and be taken." Then the official said to the king, "Let this man be put to death, for he is weakening the hands of the soldiers who are left in the city, in the hands of the people, um, by speaking such words to them. For this man is not speaking the welfare of his people, but of harm. So uh, Jeremiah says, "Listen, if you get out of here, you'll live. If you stay here, you'll die." And then the people wanted to punish him because he was saying stuff that didn't make them feel good. That sounds familiar. Uh, um, King Zedekiah said, "Behold, he is in your hands, for the king can do nothing against you." So they took Jeremiah and cast him to the cistern of Malachi, the king's son, which was in the court of the guard, letting Jeremiah down by ropes. And there was no water in the cistern, but only mud. Jeremiah sank in the mud. When Ebed-Melech, the Ethiopian, a eunuch who was the king's house, heard that they had put Jeremiah into the cistern, the king was sitting in the Benjamin Gate, which is also a British or Australian rock band from the 90s, and the lead singer of Benjamin Gate married Jeremy Camp. Um, God bless you and your family. Ebed-Melech went from the king's house to said to the king, "My lord king, these men have done evil, and all they did to Jeremiah the prophet by casting him into the cistern. He will die there of hunger. There is no bread left in the city." Then the king commanded Ebed-Melech the Ethiopian, "Take 30 men with you, and lift Jeremiah the prophet out of the cistern before he dies." So Ebed-Melech took the men with him and went to the house of the king to a wardrobe in the storehouse, and they took their old rags and worn out clothes, which let down Jeremiah into the cistern by ropes. Then Ebed-Melech the Ethiopian said to Jeremiah, "Put the rags and clothes between your armpits and the ropes." Jeremiah did this, so they drew Jeremiah up with the ropes and lifted him out of the cistern and remained in the guard of the court. I just want to say that it's cool that they actually took time to say, "Hey, put these dirty clothes under your arms so that your armpits don't get hurt." Random. King Zedekiah sent for Jeremiah the prophet and received him at the third entrance to the temple of the Lord. Then the king said to Jeremiah, "I will ask you a question, hide nothing from me." Um, Jeremiah said to Zedekiah, "I will tell you, and you will surely not put me to death." Jeremiah asks, "And if I give you counsel, you will not listen to me." That's important. "If I tell you, will you not surely put me to death? And if I give you counsel, will you listen to me?" Not listen to me. Then King Zedekiah swore secretly to Jeremiah, "As the Lord lives, who made our souls, I will not put you to death or deliver you into the hand of these men who seek your life." Then Jeremiah said to Zedekiah, "Thus says the Lord, the God of hosts, the God of Israel, if you will surrender to the officials of the king of Babylon, then your life shall be spared, and the city shall not be burned with fire, and you and your house shall live. But if you do not surrender to the officials, the king of Babylon, then the city shall be given into the hands of the Chaldeans, and they shall burn it with fire, and you shall not escape from their hand." King Zedekiah said to Jeremiah, "I'm afraid of the Judeans who have deserted the Chaldeans, lest I be handed over to them, and they deal cruelly with me." Jeremiah said, "You shall not be given over to them. Obey now the voice of the Lord and what I say to you, and it shall be well with you, and your life shall be spared." General good life advice. Um, but if you refuse to surrender, this is the vision which the Lord has shown to me. Behold, all the women left of the house of the king of Judah were being led out of the officials to the king of Babylon, were saying, "You trusted, you tr your trusted friends have deceived you and prevailed against you. Now that your feet are sunk in the mud, they turn away from you." Ooh, tea. All your wives and sons shall be led out to the Chaldeans, and you yourself shall be not escape from their hand. You shall be seized by the king of Babylon, and the city shall be burned with fire. Then Zedekiah said to Jeremiah, "Let no one know of these words, and you shall not die. If the officials hear that I have spoken with you and come and say to you, 'Tell us what you said to the king,' what the king said to you, hide nothing from us, and we will not put you to death. Then you shall say to them, 'I made a humble plea to the king, would not send me back to the house of Jonathan to die there.'" And all the officials came to Jeremiah and asked him. He answered them as the king had instructed him. So he lied. But it's cool. So they stood up speaking with him, for the conversation had not been overheard. And Jeremiah remained in the court of the guard until the day Jerusalem was taken. So a little thing of people don't want to hear bad news, and it's good to have God watching out for you. All right, I gotta go record another podcast and go be a grown up for the day. I hope y'all have a great day. Thank you for taking time to listen. I hope you enjoyed the news, and I will talk to you soon. Peace out, fam. As soon as I can get out of here. There's so many buttons. Um, got a con tomorrow, so if you want to be in prayer for that, and I will see y'all next weekish. Bye.